just wanted to talk to you.
Okay, let's talk.
Martin Scorsese says these 9 films from the 1980s are must-see masterpieces. But why do they include scandals, box office disasters, and movies critics once hated? Some were banned, others ruined careers, and one still shocks Hollywood today. The last entry will leave you stunned, and yes, there's a special bonus waiting at the end. Here are 9 films from the 1980s Scorsese wants you to see. Let's move on to number 9, The Changeling, 1980. Few ghost stories capture grief and dread like The Changeling. George C. Scott plays a composer mourning his wife and daughter, only to discover a mansion hiding a century-old secret. The film's power comes not from cheap scares, but its atmosphere. Creaking corridors, banging noises, and a child's red ball bouncing downstairs when no one is there. The story was inspired by an alleged real haunting in Denver's Henry Treat Rogers mansion, where journalist Russell Hunter claimed he lived. Released in 1980, The Changeling terrified audiences with its combination of supernatural mystery and political conspiracy, exposing how a murdered child's ghost demanded justice. Critics hailed it as one of the most chilling haunted house films ever made, influencing everything from The Others to Insidious. Scorsese himself once listed it among the scariest films of all time. Beneath the horror lies a raw portrait of grief. Scott's character is as haunted by his own sorrow as he is by the ghost. Next is number 8, Born on the 4th of July, 1989. Based on the memoir of Vietnam veteran Ron Kovich, Oliver Stone's Born on the 4th of July is a furious, heartbreaking account of war's aftermath. Tom Cruise stunned audiences with his transformation from clean-cut Marine recruit to paralyzed anti-war activist. The film doesn't just show the chaos of combat, it shows what happens after. Paralyzed from the chest down after being shot in Vietnam, Kovich returns home to a broken America that doesn't want to face its veterans. The movie captures the real horrors of Veterans Affairs hospitals in the 1960s and 70s. Overcrowded, underfunded, with patients often left untreated. Cruise, who was nominated for an Oscar, trained with Kovich himself, learning how to navigate life in a wheelchair. Released in 1989, it became both a critical and box office hit, earning Stone his second Academy Award for Best Director. The film's unflinching realism helped America confront the scars left on its soldiers, and for Cruise it marked a turning point, proving he was more than just an action star. And now number 7, Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters, 1985. Paul Schrader's Mishima may be one of the most visually striking films of the 1980s. Structured in 4 parts, it tells the story of Japanese author Yukio Mishima, blending biography with surreal dramatizations of his novels. Mishima, a writer obsessed with beauty, honor, and death, ended his life in 1970 by committing seppuku after a failed coup attempt. Schrader, best known for writing Taxi Driver, crafted a bold film unlike any other, mixing black and white flashbacks, stylized stage sets, and a hypnotic score by Philip Glass. Each chapter mirrors Mishima's philosophy: art as life, life as art, and death as the final performance. The Japanese government banned the movie, fearing its portrayal of Mishima was too sympathetic, yet critics around the world hailed it as a masterpiece. Roger Ebert called it one of the most beautiful films ever made about a writer. For Scorsese, who championed the film, Mishima represented cinema as pure expression, a blending of history, art, and tragedy that still feels radical today. Moving forward to number 6, The Entity, 1982. Of all the supernatural films of the 1980s, The Entity remains one of the most disturbing. Loosely based on the real-life case of Doris Bither in California, the movie stars Barbara Hershey as a mother violently attacked by an unseen force. What makes it haunting is that parapsychologists from UCLA actually investigated Bither's claims, setting up cameras that allegedly recorded glowing figures surrounding her. Director Sidney J. Fury used cutting-edge effects for 1982, mechanical rigs to simulate Hershey's body being thrown across rooms, which terrified even the crew. Though controversial on release, the film shocked audiences with its unflinching depiction of abuse and trauma disguised as paranormal horror. It grossed over $13 million worldwide and later influenced directors like James Wan, The Conjuring. For Scorsese, who listed it among his favorite horror films, The Entity isn't just about ghosts, it's about the psychological scars of powerlessness, giving the horror a disturbingly human edge. Next up at number 5, Heaven's Gate, 1980. When Heaven's Gate premiered in 1980, it nearly destroyed United Artists. Michael Cimino's $44 million epic about the 1890s Johnson County War between rich cattle barons and poor immigrants was mocked as bloated and indulgent. Yet decades later, critics like Roger Ebert and Pauline Kael reversed their views, calling it a misunderstood masterpiece. Shot in Montana with over 200 extras, authentic costumes, and battle scenes staged on real plains, it remains one of the most ambitious westerns ever made. The film ran over 5 hours in Cimino's original cut, though it was slashed to 149 minutes for theaters, worsening its reception. Extras were paid to actually live as 1890s settlers, and Cimino demanded dozens of takes per scene, earning him a reputation as a perfectionist tyrant. Despite losing $37 million and bankrupting a studio, modern critics now hail Heaven's Gate as a tragic opera of American history. Scorsese praised its ambition, seeing in it the same kind of bold, risk-taking cinema he admired in the 1970s. Coming in at number 4, They Live, 1988. John Carpenter's They Live is the rare sci-fi film that blends B-movie thrills with biting political satire. Released in 1988, it stars wrestler Rowdy Roddy Piper as a drifter who discovers sunglasses revealing that society's elites are actually skull-faced aliens, manipulating humanity with subliminal ads. Its anti-consumerist message, obey, consume, marry, and reproduce, has been endlessly referenced in art, memes, and even fashion. The film cost just $3 million to make and earned over $13 million, cementing its cult status. And then there's the fight scene. Piper and co-star Keith David brawl in a filthy alley for a record 5 minutes and 34 seconds, one of the longest fistfights in film history. Carpenter shot it with minimal cuts to show real exhaustion and pain. Critics originally dismissed it, but Scorsese later praised its humor, outrage, and craft. Today, They Live feels eerily prophetic, warning about hidden power structures decades before fake news and surveillance capitalism became part of everyday life. Let's move to number 3, Do the Right Thing, 1989. Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing hit theaters in 1989 like a Molotov cocktail, explosive, vibrant, and impossible to ignore. Set on the hottest day of the year in Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood, the film charts rising racial tensions between locals and an Italian-American pizzeria owner. Shot on location with deliberately heightened colors to make viewers feel the sweltering heat, it cost $6.5 million and grossed nearly $38 million worldwide. Lee not only directed but also starred as Mookie, delivering one of the most authentic portrayals of inner-city life in American cinema. The film's climax, a riot triggered by police brutality, shocked audiences with its realism, echoing the Howard Beach incident of 1986. Public debate exploded. Was it an incitement to violence or a call for empathy? Even President George H.W. Bush commented on its message. Roger Ebert hailed it as one of the great films of our time. Its hip-hop soundtrack, graffiti-style visuals, and appearances by rising stars like Rosie Perez made it both a cultural document and a warning. Scorsese admired its courage, noting how Lee captured both community warmth and the destructive power of racism with equal intensity. Next up at number 2, The Shining, 1980. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is more than a horror movie. It's a labyrinth of symbols, paranoia, and sheer terror. Released in 1980, the film adapts Stephen King's novel but pushes into more psychological, surreal territory. Jack Nicholson's "Here's Johnny" scene became one of cinema's most quoted lines. Yet behind the camera, Kubrick demanded up to 127 takes for a single shot, driving actors to real exhaustion. Shelley Duvall reportedly suffered a nervous breakdown from Kubrick's relentless perfectionism, particularly in the baseball bat confrontation scene, filmed over 3 weeks with 35 takes. The set of the Overlook Hotel was built entirely on sound stages in London, with interiors so vast they caused real ventilation problems for the cast and crew. Though reviews were mixed on release, the movie earned $47 million and has since been hailed as one of the greatest horror films ever made. Scholars dissect everything from its impossible architecture to supposed references to Native American genocide in the Apollo 11 moon landing. Scorsese listed it among the scariest films he'd ever seen, praising how Kubrick used atmosphere, silence, and the uncanny to generate unease far deeper than jump scares. Finally, at number 1, Health, 1980. Robert Altman's Health may be the strangest political satire of the 1980s, a film few saw, but one that fascinated Scorsese. Premiering at the Berlin Film Festival in 1980, it satirizes an American presidential election through the absurd setting of a Florida health food convention. With a sprawling ensemble cast including Glenda Jackson, James Garner, and Lauren Bacall. The movie cost around $6 million but was barely released, buried after Fox executives deemed it unmarketable. Altman stages mock debates, bizarre rituals, and petty infighting, turning a wellness gathering into a microcosm of democracy's failures. The satire is sharp. Candidates obsess over image, voters are distracted by nonsense, and no one addresses real issues, eerily predicting the media-driven politics of the decades to come. Though largely unseen, critics who championed it compared it to Altman's Nashville, 1975, praising its overlapping dialogue and improvisational feel. Today, scholars revisit Health as proof that Altman was always ahead of his time, skewering the hollowness of American politics long before cynicism became mainstream. Scorsese admired its boldness, recognizing that Altman exposed democracy not with grand speeches but with absurd comedy and unsettling realism. Thanks for watching. If you loved exploring Scorsese's shocking 1980s picks, don't stop here. Click on our next video for even more hidden classics. Smash that like button, subscribe for more film deep dives, and share with your movie-loving friends.